Stuart Rito. Stuart?
Yes. Issue, I will be representing the National Network of Youth Advisory Boards. On the second issue, I will just be representing myself. On the first, with regard to the National Network of Youth Advisory Boards, we'd like to propose the establishment of a statewide network of youth advisory boards and commissions. Such a program like this exists in the state of North Carolina, the purpose of which to allow young people, through their already existing youth advisory boards and commissions, to have direct input into legislation that affects them as young adults, such as juvenile justice, education, drug abuse, child abuse, and the like. Such programs have been established in over half the states in the country. North Carolina has probably the most outstanding such program. As the executive director of the National Network, I'm here to offer to assist the delegation in preparing whatever legislation might be needed to put together the statewide commission. On the second issue, I merely represent myself. In that regards, employment agencies in the state of Florida. For the past 4 years, I've had the privilege, or perhaps I should say not the privilege, of having to work with the existing office of the Secretary of State and helping to clean up some, such as advertising for jobs that didn't exist. In the past 4 years, to the best of my knowledge, only one case was brought by that office, and it was one that resulted in the finding of that agency. During the course of the investigation, no former employees outside of myself were ever brought to testify in this case. The proposal that I want to bring to you is the possibility of removing the investigations of employment agencies from the Office of the Secretary of State and placing them in the...
Sonny Holden. Sonny, you have Mr. Rango.
Yes. Hopefully, after you've had a chance to review our presentation, we can be fortunate enough in Dade County to have our entire delegation unanimously sponsor the bill at both the House and the Senate. We believe that Dade County needs summer highlight, and the state of Florida, particularly education and HRS.
Dr. Messman. Ira Kurzban.
My name is Ira Kurzban, and I'm here representing 3 organizations. The Haitian Refugee Center is a local organization in Miami concerned with faith. She's also been working for a number of years with refugees, Haitian refugees, and before that Cuban refugees, and in the Chinese refugees. The National Emergency Civil Liberties Committee is the National Civil Rights Organization.
Is Brother Love in the audience?
Going on.
He is in the audience? Okay.
Should I start, sir?
Go ahead.
Yes. We are the members of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church is a fundamental Christian faith. Our sacrament is natural herbs, otherwise known as cannabis, marijuana, or ganja. This is the church ceremony in August of this year in Jamaica of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church, showing also the sacramental use of the herb. Got any more volume than that?
Turn on the TV.
Advance the tape, sir. Advance the tape, sir. Advance the tape. started or point to some? At this point in time, because of local, state, and federal statutes, we are unable to grow or obtain our sacramental herbs legally in the state of Florida. A decision by Judge Frederick Berard in the Dade County Circuit Court rendered orally last Friday, and we're expecting either today or early tomorrow morning a written order from the judge. The court finds that there was ample testimony to the effect that the building at 43 Star Island, which is a home of a Coptic member, was in effect operated as a church. The court finds that there was a violation of the zoning ordinances, and consequently, the use of that building as a church is enjoined. There is no question that while the premises were used for church-related activities and prayers, ganja was smoked in violation of the state criminal laws. The defendant contends, while it is true that there are state laws prohibiting such activity, nevertheless it is protected. That activity is protected by the First Amendment to the Constitution. She further claims that the state has no compelling reason to prohibit such activity. The court finds otherwise. It is the duty of the state to protect the physical and mental health of the adults and the children who would use this drug. At that point, Mr. Reed asked the court, which drug? The court replied, marijuana. Mr. Booth, an attorney for the defense, said, does the court characterize that as a drug, Your Honor? And Judge Berard replied, I have characterized it in the same manner as the legislature. End of quote. The courts are bound by legislative action, and the courts must be freed by the same. During Judge Berard's closing remarks, he was asked by Mr. Farrell, counsel for the defense, Your Honor, may I ask the court, does the court find that the defendant's religious beliefs are sincere? They've already been stipulated to. Judge Berard replied, I believe that their religious beliefs are sincere. I do believe they really believe in the sacrament. The sacrament referred to is currently against the laws of the state of Florida under the name cannabis. On July 19, 1978, in the United States District Court of Appeals for the Southern District of Florida, the United States Department of Justice stipulated the following. 1, according to its Articles of Incorporation and bylaws, the Zion Coptic Church, Inc. was organized as a church to teach and promote belief in the Bible and in the fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man. 2nd, the Zion Coptic Church, Inc., which is the same Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church, the same people, the same spirit, the same doctrine. The Zion Coptic Church, Inc. conducts religious services and prayer sessions at locations which its members consider suitable for worship according to church tenets and beliefs. And finally, the United States does not challenge nor seek to refute in this proceeding that the Zion Coptic Church, Inc. and its members practice, profess, and hold their religious beliefs and tenets, including use of marijuana as a sacrament at religious services. This was stipulated by the Department of Justice of the United States of America. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church has been recognized by the Queen of England, the government and Parliament of Jamaica, the United States Department of Justice, the state of Florida, the county of Dade, the city of Miami Beach, and the residents of Star Island. The Catholic and other churches were allowed the sacramental use of wine during Prohibition. The Native American Church is today allowed the sacramental use of peyote, despite its prohibition by various state laws. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church now petitions the legislature of the state of Florida for relief, that we may freely exercise our rights of worship as guaranteed by the United States Constitution, including the sacramental use of natural herbs. Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon all the face of all the earth." Psalm 104, verse 14, "He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, and herb for the service of man." Revelation 22nd, verse 2, "And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations." The following items are included for supportive information. The deposition of Brother Walter Wells and Brother Lawrence and Dickens, who are elders of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church in Jamaica. Court testimony of Brother Love, of Sister Jacqueline Tower, and of Mr. Tesfai Gilead, who was admitted as an expert on comparative religions by Judge Barat's court. The stipulation from the United States Department of Justice, a copy of the exemption for the sacramental use of wine despite its prohibition, a copy of the People versus Woody case for sacramental use of peyote, Judge Sample's decision of December 15th of 1978, certifying the question of a discrepancy in the state law before the state of Florida Supreme Court, Judge Durant's decision where he ruled that the Florida law against possession of marijuana was unconstitutional in the state of Florida and also unconstitutional as far as the First Amendment of the United States Constitution is concerned. HP 1237, which is a Florida legislative act allowing for the distributing of marijuana for cancer and glaucoma treatment. A DEA publication explaining their reservation about allowing the Indians the sacramental use of peyote and the restriction that they had to apply to make sure that no one else was able to try to take advantage of that. And someone who was not part of the church try to take advantage of the church's sacramental dispensation. And you'll see in the supplemental material we've attached to our bill that we put in safeguards to ensure that that could not happen. And finally, Coptic Times, issues 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is a publication of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church. Respectfully submitted this 15th day of January 1979, your humble servant, Brother Love, on behalf of the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church.
Any questions of Brother Love? Mr. Coos?
I just wonder, how do we, in Florida, we have a law which says it's illegal to have polygamous marriage. It's my understanding that the Mormon Church believes in polygamous marriage. And I don't know if there's any state in the United States which sanctions or makes it legal to have polygamous marriage, even though it's the church religious belief. Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar with that. What does that have to do with this?
Because it doesn't make sense as far as you're concerned to this. To me, it does.
I'm trying to stand before you, gentlemen, and make you know that we are a church. The Coptic Church, according to history, is 6,000 years old. In this present dispensation, the American people who are members met in the island of Jamaica in the late 60s and early 70s. We met Jamaican people who have been members of the Coptic Church using marijuana as a sacrament for most of their lives. We're here to establish a sacramental amendment to the Florida drug abuse laws. It's the only issue we're bringing before you. We're not asking you to change the Florida drug laws. We will certainly campaign to work toward that in the future. We are specifically requesting an exemption for this sacramental purpose.
I think it has a lot to do with the issue, and certainly is a question precedent and may not relate particularly to the question of marijuana boundary, but it certainly relates to the question of a religious belief which is not sanctioned by state law. As a matter of fact, is still held to be a criminal violation, so I think it is very significant. And I don't think that, based on precedent, that the Florida legislature is required to act. And that's why it's significant to me. You're not citing us any precedent whereby we have to sanction something that you believe in.
Sir, I'm not talking about something I believe in. I'm talking about something that I know and that millions of Americans know. If you want to stop the generation gap, if you want to stop the credibility gap, if you want to stop the believability gap, if you want millions of young people to look at you individuals and respect you as trying to straighten out a ridiculous situation that has mothers in jail when they should be home nursing their children, that has fathers in jail when they should be home knowing that their wives and children are safe, I am talking about a herb that God made. I don't want to cloud the issue with anything else. I was not expecting to talk about the Mormon faith. This document has nothing to do with that.
Mr. Silver and then Mr. Hawkins.
And also I represent millions of people.
Just following through what Representative Cupid said, because I do believe that what Representative Cupid has brought up is most material to it. Because the Supreme Court of the United States has ruled time and time again that in the name of religion, you can't violate the law. If something is held to be illegal, you can't, in the name of religion, go out and practice that particular type of activity, such as polygamy, bigamy, and there are drug cases going along those same lines.
Excuse me,
In addition, I'm sorry.
No, I will not listen to anyone calling marijuana a drug. It is a herb. And the law is wrong.
If you review my statement, I didn't call marijuana a drug. I just said including drug cases.
I don't even want the insinuation.
Well, I don't care what you want.
Sir,
You're here.
we heard you. No.
Millions of people are in jail right now. Our property has been enjoined. Our religious rights have been taken away. I don't want to talk about polygamy, bigamy, and drugs. I want to talk about the marijuana issue that is a touch question in the United States of America today.
Quite frankly,
And if you
I don't
gentlemen
want to hear
care-
any more from you as a member of this delegation. I'm going to speak for myself. Okay?
All right.
Thank you, Chairman.
We didn't expect this to be popular. Yet we know it's true. It must be brought before the people. The people are the eventual court.
I think if I'm extending you the courtesy of listening to you, that you should extend to me the courtesy of listening to me. If you refuse to do that, then I refuse to listen to you, and I'll vote accordingly on your bills. If they come up.
Mr. Hawkins and then Mr. Fontaine. Mr. Hawkins? Would you speak into the microphone, Aaron?
You mentioned the Coptic Church is 6,000 years old.
Yes.
I was wondering if you have any numbers and or statistics of other Coptics practicing in other countries?
Yes, sir.
And how many, if so, how many countries? And are they allowed to use the sacrament?
That's your question?
That's my question.
We are talking about the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church, which right now is located, its headquarters and its church building is in the parish of St. Thomas in Jamaica. There are many Americans who have adopted the Zion Coptic faith, who live in their private residences and practice the Zion Coptic faith in America. There are thousands of groups who have used the name Coptic, starting with Ethiopia through the entire continent of Africa. There are many in America, in New York and Florida. Jamaica has groups known as the Cairo Coptic, the Judah Coptic. I'm talking about the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church, the church that was recognized by Act 11, 1976 of the Jamaican Parliament and by the Queen of England. The name Coptic is in the Encyclopedia Britannica as the oldest known Christian faith. The Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church and our doctrine profess our history and our genealogy back to Ethiopia through the reversing the stages of slavery to reestablish the connection of how an Ethiopian faith came to the Western Hemisphere. These things are documented, and I understood that to be matters of committee that you people would find out in your investigation of us, which we more than welcome. If I didn't want to go to that depth today, I certainly will if you want to.
Mr. Fontana has a question.
Ms. Love, three brief questions. Number one, is your church open to the public?
If you were in Jamaica, yes. If you're referring to 43 Star Island, no.
Secondly, Do you grow your own, or is it brought in?
Right now, we have sued the city of Miami Beach for the return of 9 marijuana plants, which weighed 4,976 grams, which they took from the Star Island property on November 20th of 1978, and I claimed them then, and I claim them now.
But you do, let me
Yes.
just go just a little bit further. You do know, or your church did know, that it was against the law to grow it in this county. Is that
Sir,
correct?
the members of this church have a record to prove to you how much we know that state governments fight against marijuana by a long list of arrests only for marijuana. In Jamaica and America, whether the amount has been one small amount or a whole roomful, there's never been any account of any weapon, any resistance, any resisting arrest whatsoever. It has always been only marijuana as far as the Coptics are concerned. And the FBI will verify this, the DEA will verify this, the Customs will verify this.
Right.
We are the marijuana church.
I appreciate it. My last question would be, would you support me if I decided to start a church that used human sacrifices? Well, you, under the guise of a church.
Who's talking about guys? I'm not here guising anything, my friend. If you want to talk about Coptic, learn about Coptic before you talk about guys. What right do you have to look upon my faith and call it a guise?
Well, I'm an individual. I have a right to look upon anything any way I feel like.
Tell me what right you have to call the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church a guise. Do you know the precepts of the Coptic Church?
No, I don't.
Do you know the foundation of the Coptic
No, I
Church?
don't.
Well, then have manners.
Thank you, sir.
Madam
I'll have
Chairperson.
manners when we vote.
Madam Chairperson, I think the 5 minutes allotted to Brother Levitt's expired.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No, I have some information to submit to you people.
Madam Chairperson.
Yeah, Mr. Early.
How often in the day do you use the sacrament?
The sacrament is a cup of remembrance that we partake of all throughout the day. The prayers in the Coptic Church are congregational at some times. There are also prayers when we leave, prayers when we return, prayers when we have our food. We partake straight through the day, early in the morning, straight through the day. And we are willing to convince the people of America, and many of the skeptics perhaps in this room, that marijuana is a very beneficial herb, a spiritual and medicinal herb, and that the people of America, through smoking joints and trying to get stoned, do not yet understand the full value of the herb. And men such as the elders of the church from Jamaica, who have known and lived with this substance for 40 or 50 years of their life, are about to explain to the people of America what the use of herb is all about. It is not an alternative to anything. There's been a lot of confusion in America, this joint smoking and people getting stoned and drunk on herb. We do not defend that. And we will prove to you people and to any other skeptics that that is not what we're talking about.
All right, we have to move on. Thank you, sir.
I have something to present. I have depositions that I refer
If you
to.
would give it to Margaret or Andy at the end of the page, Andy, at the end of the page, you would like to- William Denham.
Madam Chairperson, members of the Dade Legislative Delegation, it is always a privilege. I'm with William L. Denham, 30 Northwest 44th Street. It's always a privilege to appear before you and speak about some of the parimutuel problems that exist in the state of Florida. In the Miami News, something about a meeting held in Tallahassee, Mr. Dan Bradley says, "There's not a man or beast on this earth that can truly understand the way parimutuels money is set up for the different parimutuel establishments." Chairman Carl Ogden says, "A total fiasco." There will be one member appointed by the governor from each congressional district, and it was constituted on June 9th, 1936. South Florida is in the 4th district, taking 9 counties, 7 on the east. District 2, Tallahassee.
Then in 1800, 2000 years old, not 6,000.
Part of the way, And District 5 includes Orlando and Ocala. So I would like to hand this to you this fall. Possibly you have copies, maybe you don't. May you rest in peace, Channel 7. This is undoubtedly.
I don't know, Play that part with Brother Loveton, that son of a bitch. You should have manners. About the guys in the church, because that's what's on everybody's mind, right? That was nice, man. Huh? Wednesday. You gonna be at Tiger Bay Wednesday? Are you gonna be at Tiger Bay? I'm off Wednesday. You're speaking at Tiger Bay. That's right. All right.
You thought it was going to stop?
A lively little luncheon club. Yeah. Well, I know you're right. To the point. It's Saturday. So I guess I You waiting for us today? I'm waiting for my...
Them old men just about dropped that out of his especially that little fat fucker in front of you. That little sumptuous.
Under the eyes of the church.
I don't mean the old man, I mean the fat one, the first one.
Huh?
Both of them were terrible. The only one was the one on the...
I'm not a wheelchair, huh? Should have gone for more public relations.
No.
Kept them waiting like the king.
Don't worry, he's coming, he's coming.
Over here. I'll smile.
Good. You see the one that was sitting next to the one that's sitting? Didn't say nothing about space. Space. Right at the end. Right at the end of it.
It's all you need to create the core within which all the stupidity will stop and all of a sudden the seriousness will begin.
I'm glad to ask those questions, man. I felt good digging them in their blood clot. I just wish I had a ganja.
How many you got left? That's all you got left?
A few more.
No, I'm gonna take these.
Okay, here's the card.
That's all I got left. That's all you got? Yeah, give me.
What's about it,